Hi guys, hope everybody's alright. Welcome to Dan's Haunted Cottage. Nearly slipped up there and said something else. But yes, welcome to Dan's Haunted Cottage. As you can see through my window there and around me, it's quite treacherous, the weather out there. It's snowing at the moment, and anybody with any sense would not be out on it. Unfortunately, I am. So what does that say about me? But alas, I had to get some shopping, and that's exactly what I've done. Anyway, enough of that, enough of the idle chit-chat. I wanted to talk to you today about a subject that has cropped up recently between me and some friends regarding what is a poltergeist. Now, as you probably know, the word poltergeist translates from German as noisy ghost. It also translates to some other things as well. Can't remember them off the top of my head, but noisy ghost. And so from that we ascertain, or we think to ourselves that that's what it is. We think it's a ghost. There have been numerous subjects that have been studied within the last few years. One is from where I was born and brought up, which is Enfield, and that's the Enfield poltergeist. That's the one that it seems to have overtaken any other poltergeist case that I know of, certainly for the fanfare of media coverage and film work and documentaries and all sorts of stuff. And that was the subject that was studied by Maurice Grosse and Mr. Playfair. And there's another one which hasn't had so much coverage. It was in the 1960s, and that's the one that I've just investigated for about the fourth time, I think. Probably third time, actually, thinking about it. And that is the Pontefract poltergeist, the one at 30 East Drive in Pontefract, which is obviously, as you guys know, or if you don't know, that's in Yorkshire. And there'll be a video of the investigation coming up pretty soon on that. And yeah, what is a poltergeist? Is it a ghost? Well, you know what? That used to be the general opinion. It seems to have changed over the last few years because of the amount of study that's gone into it. It seems to be an energy that is centered around one person in a family. And it's generally girls that are just coming into puberty. Now, obviously, we don't know everything that goes on in the human brain or the human mind. But there is some schools of thought that say that it's an energy that is generated by the frustration or by the mental abilities and energies of that particular person. So what it does is it manifests if you like, their frustration manifests itself in the form of an energy which then causes problems in a property. So, you know, you've probably, as I say, you've seen the Enfield poltergeist, which was centred around a young girl, and there's also the Pontefract one, which once again was centred around a young girl. There have been other ones that have been centred around adults, but generally it seems to be a young girl. I'm not sure. I don't know. And as I say, the thing with ghost hunting, the thing with paranormal research is that we can only guess. We can hazard a guess. So it's basically all speculation. We don't really know. As I say, there's lots of different schools of thought as to what it is. I couldn't tell you what it is. I did a house a few years ago, and there was similar activity going on there. It was in Hertfordshire, and there was a lady that called us out, and she said that she was having lots of problems. A couple of mediums have been there and said that they didn't pick up on anything, but you guys probably know my thoughts on most mediums. So we went there. She was living there on her own, and she was living there with her daughters, and one of them was about 11, 12 years old, so I kind of guessed coming into puberty. And it was a situation that she found herself in only recently. It had gone on for about probably 9 months to a year previous to us getting in there. And we went in there and we set our kids up, and we didn't think anything of it really, because we didn't realise that she had young daughters living there. So we set the kids up, and we did various experiments that we carried out in there, and some of them proved positive. Some of the things that we set cameras up upstairs, and then you heard bangs, and then the cameras were on their side. She said that she'd seen manifestations in the property. She mentioned that things were going missing, which, as I said, and then reappearing again, which I said earlier in another video, was an apport. So we set the thing up. And also, I don't know why, but there always seems to be a water appearing where there is poltergeist activity or possible poltergeist activity. And this is one of the when she'd actually explained to us that she had children there, and that one was at that age that could possibly generate that kind of kinetic activity. Then I decided to ask her some questions that were probing that would only be apparent if there was a poltergeist or a poltergeist activity or a poltergeist in the property. And so the questions asked, was there water appearing? She said that she'd had problems with the water in the property and that there'd been the odd leak or two. I asked her if the activity happened when the daughter wasn't there, and she said, well, it does, but it quietens down a lot when the girl wasn't in situ. And just some other various things that I asked her. And it seemed to become apparent that it was centred around this child. It was centred around this young girl. The girl had been in the property previous whilst we were there, but we didn't really want her in there. We didn't want her in there while we were doing what we were doing, because obviously for an adult, let alone a young child, that's pretty scary stuff. So we didn't want to make her aware of what we were doing, and we didn't really want to make her aware that we were there when she went away. So yeah, we had a few knocks and bangs. We had a lot of EMF readings, which is electromagnetic field or disturbances in it, and we had a couple of EVPs, electric voice phenomena, that were picked up, but they were kind of indistinguishable. We couldn't really understand what it was, but we could definitely hear voices there. In actual fact, one of the investigators, who was an ex-policeman, he sat on the stairs of the property. He wanted to go out on his own and sit on the stairs. And he's quite a big guy. He's probably around about 6'1". He's quite a chunky guy. And he sat out there, and we sat in the lounge. And then he came bowling in, and he said, "Look, I've been at the top of the stairs. I've been doing a vigil, so he'd been asking out questions. And the only thing, or the thing that he felt, he got really, really cold," which again is synonymous with, or lots of people say that it's synonymous with spirit activity, or when a spirit comes into the atmosphere, that it either drops really cold. It can also go really hot as well, so you can have hot spots. It's believed that you can have hot spots when spirit activity occurs as well. But he came in, and he wasn't white, but he was almost shaking. And he said he'd been at the top of the stairs, and basically it freaked him out. It got really cold. He felt someone around him, and he felt someone touch him, and that was it for him. I mean, this is a guy that's been through all sorts of scenarios in the material world, as it were, and it was just too much for him. So we kind of put her in contact, after we did the investigation, we put her in contact with the medium, and we don't know really what happened after that, because we'd lost contact with her. She'd actually moved away. But apparently, we think it had settled down. But I can't help, I'd like to speak to her again, because I'd like to see whether that activity followed her. And the girl, of course, would probably be, this is a few years ago, so the girl herself would probably be late teens now. So it'd be interesting to see whether that activity sort of tapered off as the child got older and became more aware of her puberty, if she got to the point where she'd sort of grown to the point where it didn't cause her problems or anguish of all those changes going on in her body. So yeah, so that's it. That's just what I wanted to talk about, a bit of poltergeist activity, as it were, and what a poltergeist is. So really, nobody knows. Like anything that's from the paranormal world, it's just conjecture, and it's just theory, and that's all we've got. But we try and pin it down, certain episodes and certain actions to certain activities to certain kinds of spirit, and that's just the poltergeist one. So yeah, so keep watching, guys. I hope you're all indoors, safe and warm. If it's snowing, don't travel out in this. Don't be an idiot like me. Just stay safe and warm, and make sure, I hope your day's going well. I hope it's all going fine and dandy, and I will speak to you in the next one. So take care, guys. Bye now.